both of you take the time to come to visit us at Teach Haiti. I'll tell you a little bit of my story because that's what inspired me to start Teach Haiti. I grew up in a very poor family up north. My parents had 9 children. The firstborn died when he was 2. And now that I'm putting all of the symptoms together, I think he died from malnutrition when I can put the puzzles together. And then my sister, another sister I had, died in 1995. She was 15 when she died, and she had fever. My parents had no money to take her to the doctor, so she died, which is unfortunately that happens way too many times in Haiti. But in 1989, I had 2 sisters who were giving up for adoption, and it's because they were sick. My parents didn't want to take the risk of them dying since she couldn't take them to the doctor. So she gave them up for adoption, and we were hoping and praying they would be in a good home, even if we never see them again, but at least they would be in a good home. We said our goodbyes, and that was it. But we were so very grateful that the family who adopted them in Minnesota decided to keep in touch with my family. Sent letters in Minnesota. Yeah, they adopted both of them. They sent us Christmas letters every year, and we were so excited that because we never knew they would do such thing. And then in 10 years later, 1999, John, the father, decided to visit Haiti to meet my family for the very first time. And
they've been sponsoring you for 10 years. Yeah.
No, they didn't even know us. They just sent letters to us.
Okay.
And we had we didn't have contact with them. They were just sending the letters to the orphanage. The orphanage gave the letters to my parents.
Okay.
And so when he came to visit, I spoke no English at that time because in Haiti the English they teach in the Haitian schools it's not sufficient to hold a long conversation. So I could say my name is, what's your name, and that was the extent of my English. But then when he offered me, when he was asking me questions about biology, chemistry, I'm like, is that the way Americans are when they meet you? They ask me questions. Hey, what's your name? Can you define an atom? I'm like, I don't know, So anyway, so I answered. I didn't know why he was asking, but I answered him. And then at the end of his visit, after 1 week of his visit, he was here for 1 month. We met him in his last week here because he was looking for us. We didn't know where he was, us where we were. And so he said, Mikette, I think I would like for you to go to the US if you want for 1 year as a Rotary exchange student. I'll check if my Rotary Club would sponsor you. And there was a French lady who spoke a little bit of English. I asked her to translate for me, and she told me, and I gave this man such a big hug. My mom said, don't forget him again. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then the following year, he sent us pictures throughout 1999. The paperwork I supposed to fill out for the Rotary Club. And I did everything I supposed to do. And then in 2000, he came to help me get the visa, to facilitate my exit out of the country. But boy, it wasn't easy to get a visa because, like the U.S. Embassy, they want to know someone they're gonna give a visa to. Do you have ties to come back to? And I don't blame the U.S. Embassy for not giving me a visa because I was a flight risk. If I were them looking at my paperwork, I'm like, I can see why I don't get a visa. My parents had no money. I had no bank account. We had nothing. I had nothing to show for. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna come back to if I come. There was nothing that was appealing besides my family to come back. And so because of that, I did not get the visa the very first time. It was tough, and it was through so many hoops. My folks in Minnesota, they called the Congress. They knew the congressmen in Minnesota, so they called, and then the congressman called the Haiti embassy, and the Haiti embassy then scheduled a meeting with me, with the top guy, with Roger Daly. I don't know if you see his name in the office, but Roger Daly was the general, the consular general, met with me and saw my application. He said, Mikette, I'm gonna give you the visa.
What year was this?
2000.
And it was to go to the States to study, right?
Yes, as a youth exchange.
It was an educational visa.
A J1 visa.
A J1 visa. Okay.
And so it wasn't easy But again, with God, everything is possible. So I got the visa. The following year, I came back. I did very well in the States. My English was terrible. They were calling my names. I didn't know what they were saying, and it was so confusing for me being in this country I had never heard of to start with. Minnesota, most Haitians don't go to Minnesota. You know, so go to Miami and Boston. That's why they go in New York.
Right.
And so, but I was just super, super excited. I remember my first day at the high school in Detroit Lakes, to show you where I'm from. My sister, I live with them. They were adopted. I was in her high school. She was a freshman and I was a junior. I remember I went to a bathroom. I needed to use a restroom, so I walked into a bathroom. I saw some guys. I'm like, oh, good morning. Thinking it was normal like Haiti. And then I walked in. My sister just looked at me. You went to the boys' bathroom? I'm like, oh, no wonder they didn't respond when I said good morning to them, you know? But it shows you like how far really I was. Anyway, had a wonderful year in Minnesota. Many people continued to support me. The Rotary Club, the community, they loved my story. They loved my spirit because they know like my struggle. So they continued to support me. Where I finished my last year in Oak Grove in Fargo, North Dakota, and then I continued to get more support. The family who adopted my sisters, they continued to pour their love and finances into my life. My dream had always been to be a nurse. Since I was a kid, I wanted to be a nurse because in my hometown, we did not really have, maybe we had 1 or 2 doctors for the entire community. And so the nurses were so important. They did everything. And I'm like, that's what I would like to do. I want to make a difference in my community. But then when I saw my parents couldn't pay for me to even finish middle school, I gave up on my dreams completely. I'm like, becoming a nurse will not even be possible. If I cannot even finish high school, how am I supposed to go to college? And so when the family in Minnesota decided to help me, I started dreaming again. And it was just, I was just so grateful that someone allowed me to dream again. And if you don't have dreams, it's so. When I went to Concordia College in Moorhead, studied nursing, graduated, passed my boards, and then I worked in Minnesota as a registered nurse. Because as a student, you are allowed to apply for a work permit. It's called optional practical training. Or you have to go back if you're not gonna go to more schooling. So I applied for 1 year and I got it, and then I worked as a nurse just to get some experience under my belt before coming back. As I was planning on coming back, I had a job waiting for me in the South. I mean, I had like a car waiting for me. I had like a maid. I had everything waiting for me before even coming to Haiti. And I started thinking, I'm like, God.
Waiting for you where?
And here, because there was a group in Minnesota who contacted me. They wanted me to work for them. They were going to start a clinic. They said, we'd like you to work for us as our director. We'd love for you to work. So I had everything waiting for me. And I pinched myself thinking, I'm like, it was in 2006. I'm like, 7 years ago, I was struggling to even say where my next meal will come from. Just 7 years ago. And today, to have all of these things waiting for me, I'm like, who am I? You know, pinch myself even. And I said that I know exactly what I would like to do. I would like to start a program that would help kids just like me. They're not dumb. They just don't have the opportunity to develop their dreams, for their dreams to come true. And I talked to some of my friends. Anyone who would listen to me, I just talked to. I took the phone book and I just like email people, email churches, Rotary clubs, anyone who would listen. And then they started calling me to come share my story with them. And I told them I need $350 a year to sponsor a child. And I said I was gonna send 5 kids to school. Because the way it works here in Haiti, you pay to go to school. If you don't pay for a specific month, you pay every month. If you don't pay for 1 month, the principal will call your name out loud to leave the classroom, and you just humiliated leaving that classroom because your friends or you didn't pay, and it's humiliating. And I said I've been through that so many times in my life. If I can have 5 kids, if I can help just 5, be in school for a full year. No humiliation of thinking I'm gonna be sent back because I didn't pay. That would be a great success for me. Started talking, and within my first few talks, I had 10 kids already, money for 10 kids. And I talked for about 2 months. I spoke about Teach Haiti, came to Haiti with enough money to send 41 children to school. we did not have a school